Most people get strategy wrong. Everything that you do or you don't do has to work towards your strategy.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Manish Pali Show. Today's guest is Jon. Welcome to the show.
You cannot believe your thoughts. Before you accept your thoughts, you need to qualify them if they're helpful or unhelpful. You build a brand not with impressions, and marketing today, I think, is even harder than before. Trying to get someone's attention is insane. The way we think determines how we act, feel, and behave. You can feel happy by just thinking of something. You can feel angry by thinking of something. You can feel disgusted by thinking of something. People assume so much. You can't assume anything. Struggle and challenges is an opportunity to grow. Rather than see it as a negative, this is an opportunity to grow.
This is the Manish Pali Show. Join me as I speak with founders and leaders about what it really takes to grow, lead, and keep going. I'm your host, Manish Pali, the fractional Chief Marketing Officer for ambitious iGaming companies. I work directly with founders and CEOs and turn marketing chaos into growth engine. The Manish Pali Show is sponsored by 10xbrand.io, the full-service agency that helps iGaming companies build brands that dominate. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Manish Pali Show. Today's guest is someone I admire for his ability to lead through change, coach with empathy, and also drive transformation. Jonathan Shaw is a change maker, an expert in merger and acquisitions, as well as a former CEO of Retail Marketing Limited. He led high stakes merger that has transformed Welbee supermarkets into one of the leading brands in Malta. He's also a certified cognitive behavioral coach and also the author of 40, Be the Change. And most recently, he launched his advisory, Hatten Advisory, focusing on guiding companies through mergers and acquisitions. So this episode is about a real side of leadership, the doubts, the decisions, the mindset shifts, as well as the weight of responsibility that comes in with leading people. Jon, welcome to the show.
Hey, cheers. Thanks, Manish. Great intro.
Cool. Yeah, just Jon, before we kind of like dive into the business transformation and leadership insights, I want to take a bit of rewind in your story, right? So when you were in your early 20s, what do you think has kind of shaped your mindset at that stage of life?
Good question and a good place to start. So I'm 52 now, so that's taking me back quite a bit. I think what really shaped my mindset is when I was at university, I started an
Oh,
events
wow.
company. These were the times when we had no social media, no Facebook, no Instagram, and no
Wow.
cell phones. Cell phones were just starting. So, in fact, I remember being a student with a cell phone, which was like unheard of. Nowadays, you see an 8-year-old with a cell phone, but there a 20-year-old student with a cell phone was unheard of. So, going out there, negotiating with club owners, with sponsors, word of
Hmm.
mouth, guerrilla marketing, when you really do marketing with no budget. I remember our flyers were actually photocopies, um, membership cards, handwritten, posted. So that was really raw. And what taught me there is, I think what shaped me there is you actually do things hands-on. You learn
Yeah.
the basics of engagement. And we used to engage with companies, with club owners. And when you engage with your clients, your people, your workforce, I think you can get more
Mm.
done. So the rules of engagement, create a relationship, and then things will follow. So don't try and sell, first build the relationship, the engagement, and add value. So that shaped, probably it
Hmm.
was a great lesson. Obviously, you learn at university, you learn how to study, you know how to think. But when you're in
Yeah.
actual work, I think you learn so much at a young age
Mm.
as well.
What was kind of like prompted you to start the events? I think you were one of the first official events promoter in Malta, from what I'm
Yeah,
seeing.
we were. And I think what prompted me is
Mm.
I had a gap year and I was working in the gap year. And so when you get used to having some extra
Yeah.
money, being earned, and then you go back to student with nothing, I saw the miss, and I said, I'd like to have some money coming in because I got used to it working in a year, and then going back to a student with no income was
Hmm.
a sudden change as well. But not only
Yeah.
money, but there was a gap. There's a gap in the market, and we created this student kind of platform events company, which then led to
Hmm.
youth marketing, specializing marketing to a particular niche as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a long way, but yeah, it's a great way to start because you are in the middle of everything what's going on in the university and what leads from then on.
completely. And also, more important, you build
Mm.
confidence, you learn how to talk, to negotiate, and to create. Everything is creation, ideas, and that is my background is still a bit on the creative side, on the
Hmm.
marketing side. Obviously, now marketing has evolved to be very technical
Yeah.
and online, but the engagement is still key. The message is still key,
Yeah, this is a very important topic. This because I'm into marketing and I'm seeing a lot of talk around measuring everything in this day and age, which is totally fine. But there's a lot of conversation around brand versus performance, or in simple terms, marketing that can be measured versus building a brand, which is more sort of the creative and the long-term side of it. Um, how do you see this like
completely.
playing out? Like, do you think that marketers are just becoming tech people trying to measure every single thing and neglecting brand in itself and the creativity side of the marketing itself?
Yes, because it's the nature of the business now. Unfortunately, we have to
Mm.
measure everything. And so it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. Once I heard a quote saying 50% of marketing
Wow.
is a waste of money. The problem is which 50. So the issue here is that when you build a brand not with impressions. You can do an advert and do a campaign and get millions of impressions, and you create no engagement. You can have less impressions, but you build engagement and a lasting impression with that client. Obviously, businesses are
Yes.
pressured to perform. We need to sell,
Yeah.
we need to make money. So I'm not saying one is bad, one is good. In the ideal scenario,
Yeah.
you create both. You create both the engagement, you create the sell through, you get the ROI, you get the measurement. At the end of the day, you need the numbers, you need the follow throughs, the sales. So it's the nature of the beast. And this is why marketing today, I think, is even harder than before. People think it's easy because there are all these platforms, but I think it's harder. There's overload of data, distractions. People watch TV with three screens, the iPad on the lap, the phone as well, and watching TV. Trying to get someone's attention is insane. Is insane.
A large number of founders against to building a brand and more sort of to, okay, tell me how much money should we put into this campaign and how many leads we can get. But I'm trying to explain like this is
Yeah.
two different conversations because I'm saying that the sooner you invest in brand, the faster everything becomes less expensive for you because the cost of the leads can
Yeah.
go down, the cost of engagement can go down with a known brand. So how do you, like, if you're in an advisory role for a startup or for a fast growing company that is going through this kind of phase, and you have a CFO and a founder who's just seeing marketing with x dollars in, y dollars, y leads out, what do you tell them? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, first of all, you mentioned one good thing, which is strategy. Most people get strategy wrong. So I ask people a very simple question. I say, if you need to lose weight, say
Hmm.
someone needs to lose weight, I say, what's your
I will eat
strategy?
less.
People tell me I will eat less, I'll go to the gym, I'll get a
Hmm.
personal trainer, I will skip pizza, maybe carbs, whatever. Wrong.
Mm.
That's not a strategy. Those are
Yes.
tactics. You see? So, so when I say, what's your strategy? And people give me a blank look, a blank face. And I do this with marketing people, with CEOs, even myself when I was in CEO role.
Yeah.
What's my strategy? So in the case of losing weight, a possible strategy would be, I'm going to make this objective of losing weight a new lifestyle. I'm going to embed it as a lifestyle. That's my strategy, you know? Or else a strategy could be zero tolerance on everything. I am
Hmm.
going all in. You know, that's your overriding strategy. Then the tactics have to suit that strategy. Obviously, having measurable objectives, I'm going to lose 1 kilo per month in the next 3 months, something timely. But anyway, so when we talk of strategy, tactics, and objectives is key. So to come back to your question, startups, have a strategy. Everything that you do or you don't do has to work towards your strategy.
Hmm.
Okay? It has to contribute towards your overriding strategy. And then mistakes, and I know what this is because I made a lot of mistakes. I'm no guru. Um, and obviously, hindsight gives you 20/20 vision, so it's easy to talk after the mistake. But stage things. I had a project and I went a big project. I got so engaged,
Yeah.
enthusiastic about it, and I was seeing the whole stage. And it failed because I didn't go
Hmm.
past stage one. Whereas if I phased it, made it easier to raise the funds, do this, start like this, then get other investors on board, stage it, build the confidence, I would have
Hmm.
succeeded. So you'd say this is obvious, but we get, as entrepreneurs, we get carried away. We're enthusiastic as well. And then we do what we can call emotional reasoning, which could be unhelpful thinking. We're so emotionally attached to a
Yeah.
project, to a new idea. And what if we build ideas which are great, we launch them, but then there is no need for it, there's
Mm.
no captive market. Then we need to waste money to build the market. What if instead of building the idea, we focus on identifying a gap in the market and then come up with an idea which already suits that need and
Yeah.
that gap, you know?
Yeah. This is quite interesting, especially for me. I'm gonna be a little bit selfish here. What you just said there kind of like sparked a few things because right now I'm offering a fractional CMO services for iGaming companies and other fintech companies. What you exactly said, which is instead of creating a new market or a new need, why don't you just identify existing gap? This is kind of like really insightful for me because what I'm essentially doing is trying to promote a new thing that probably industry has not seen that much up until this time. So my question would be, how do you recognize when is enough? And when do you cut that emotional detachment to a project? Or when do you decide kind of like, hey, maybe this is not working. Maybe I need to take a step back and reassess what's my
Yeah.
strategy. Like how do you realize that?
It's tough. It's not easy. Usually people give
Okay.
themselves 1 year. 1 year is not enough. 1 year is not enough. I think one
Mm,
needs 18 months for any new venture, at least. But then you need to have tangible goals, measurable, and break it down in smaller goals, you know? So if you're doing your fractional marketing expert consultancy and you're brilliant at it, because I've worked with you a bit, um, you need to break it down. What do I want? Where do I want to be in 18 months time? How how can I break it down to goals to six
Yeah.
months, 12 months, whatever. So it's important to break it down and keep on track. And then if you need so many clients, you need so many sales leads. You need to break it down with numbers and like a funnel, a sales funnel.
You're also like certified in cognitive behavioral coaching. Um, I'm curious, like, how did that come to you in the sense that you want to learn about coaching someone, or what was the moment you decided that I want to do this?
So after this big project, I had a small exit in a company. I exited the company and I
Hmm.
took some time off. Then I started working on this huge project. It was a cultural, real estate, quite a unique project. This is when I got carried away with my enthusiasm, didn't stage it. And 3 years after, everything went belly up. I lost the project. I lost money. I lost time. I lost 3 years, of my life in a way, working hard. Still learn things. It didn't work, basically. So at the time, I wasn't sure what I want to do. And I come across this article by the Society of Psychologists
Okay.
in London about this cognitive behavior coaching course. And I just signed up to it. I said, wow, this is for me. Let me learn cognitive behavior for organizations because in leadership, we use it a lot. So the using, in a way, it's leadership. It's getting the best out of people and also how
Hmm.
to understand them and organizations and lead. So cognitive means the way we think, behavior is the way we act. So
Wow.
it sounds complex, but it's not. So I signed up and I spent about, I think, 7 months going up 1 week a month to
Hmm.
London. And I got certified, but I realized that my first
Hmm.
client was myself. So suddenly I learned all this. I learned we all know how mindset and clarity and unhelpful thinking is and the inner voice. We know all this, but what we're not taught is how to reframe it properly. So I was taught how to reframe unhelpful thinking to enhance performance in people, manage stress, and have clarity. So obviously, being taught this properly, I could do it on myself. So then I started coaching.
But does it work
Ah,
though?
amazing.
Like there is a saying that you can't be your own
No,
doctor or
no, it
something like
does
that.
because
Does it
no,
really?
it does because in coaching we're not handling trauma. So the difference between CBT
Mm,
is handling trauma, CBC is cognitive behavior coaching. So
okay.
in coaching you focus on the present and the future, and it's solution focused. So it's being
Okay.
effective.
So how do we manage that noise and the inner voice that can create unhelpful thought patterns, let's say?
First of all, you have to believe and understand that what goes on your head
Hmm.
is not you. It's noise. It could be true, it could be not true. So you cannot believe your
Mm,
thoughts. Now, before you accept your thoughts, you need to qualify them if they're helpful or unhelpful.
okay.
So imagine, and
Okay.
to do this, I always say the monkey in your head. Once we discussed it. Imagine you have a monkey in your
Yeah,
head.
I love that topic.
So your inner voice is that of a monkey. So imagine a monkey's telling
Hmm.
you now, um, imagine you see me distracted on my phone and your monkey tells you, Manish, John is not enjoying this podcast with me. If you believe
Yeah.
that
Mm,
thought, the way we think makes us act, feel, and behave in a certain way. It's gonna make you feel and act
mm,
in a way which is not helpful to have a great podcast. So you need to stop that thought by asking a question, and you can ask your monkey, hey, what's the proof John is not having fun or not interested? The only proof I have is John was looking at his cell phone. Got it?
yeah.
And obviously there are a number of questions, a process, but it helps.
Hmm.
And so you cannot fight it. You need to play with it.
Basically, not identifying with the thought itself, but kind of like seeing it as a
Question.
separate entity
Yeah. and
Yeah,
challenge it. So if you're a startup founder and suddenly you're going to have a rough patch,
exactly.
and the monk in your head,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not you, the inner voice is not you, it can be influenced by external past situations, whatever, is telling you, this project is going to fail. And if you believe that
Exactly.
thought, then you're going to act without confidence, self-doubt, and you're going to make it a reality. So instead, you need to say, what is the proof? No, there's no proof I'm going to fail, but there is a bit of truth that at the moment I'm not managing. And
Mm.
and then you can go number of questions through even exploring worst case scenario, what are my options, and there's a process to it. But helping
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
reframe that unhelpful thinking can help you then do the right options. Because if you decide to do things when your thinking is not helpful, you're going to come up with the wrong decisions.
So then you have started coaching entrepreneurs more sort of CBC.
See, yeah,
It's fascinating for me to know that the difference as well, because I
yeah,
thought both were the
yeah,
same.
CBC.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
individuals and high performance and
Okay.
and in a way athletes use it a lot, people in business, everyone. This should be taught to children, Manish. I mean,
Yes.
recently I had a mindset session for a group of swimmers in my swimming club, teenagers, the elite performance team.
Yeah.
And you should see these 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds with their wise eyed open, and everyone's saying, wow, okay, this is amazing, because children, young teenagers go through so much of insecurities and thoughts which can set them back. So this should be taught to everyone, not only business leaders and people, and it's amazing because when you have clarity, there is no need to think. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. So, obviously, I practice it, I've learned it, I help people, but I use it at work a lot. And it's an
Mm-hmm.
amazing, amazing tool to have. But yeah, one day, if you want, we'll do it for your listeners. Maybe we'll ask your followers if they want it or not.
Yeah, I saw that you did a personal physical challenge of 37-kilometer swim
Yeah.
in the Maltese Islands, and uh, I'm curious to know more about that experience and why you decided to do that, and what was the kind of like the outcome or any challenge from the whole experience.
Look, I'm lucky. I'm in a community of like-minded people on WhatsApp. We just have a WhatsApp group, 25 or 27 guys. We like sports. We don't
Mm-hmm.
race, but at our age now, we just do it for a community, lifestyle, health. And I train every day. So I wake up
Right.
early, and I do that training. So it's either swimming with a swimming coach, high intensity swimming, or else at the gym. And on the weekends, I do open water swimming all year round. And it's good. And then we meet for coffee after. So you build a community. So when you have a community in sports, it helps you show up.
Mm-hmm.
So you keep on showing up every day. So you build that kind of fitness, resilience, and you just show up. You keep on showing up. And yeah, last year,
Mm-hmm.
a group of us swam 38 kilometers, non-stop open water swimming. That takes around 12 hours of constant swimming. And yeah, beautiful experience. It's and everything that could go wrong went wrong a month before. I was sick, I had whiplash, I had an accident, I was on medication, but I still went for it with a smile. And you do it, and you break it down in smaller goals, and you enjoy it. You have to look around you and enjoy and be
Mm-hmm.
grateful that you have the opportunity to do something like this. So um, and yeah, and there's growth because the mind goes in areas you're alone. You're your head down in the water, swimming for 12 hours,
Wow.
not going on a boat, just a boat, a support boat next to you, stopping every 30 minutes to quickly eat and drink, to refuel, just 1 minute, and back on. Yeah, amazing. And yeah, I'd love to do more of that.
what was your first exposure to leadership? Is there anything that you can think of in terms of your, I don't know, school, childhood moments where did the spark of leadership and the focus on leadership has come to you as far as you can trace
Yeah,
it back?
I think it's a bit of a personality thing as well. I wasn't an
Mm,
extrovert, but neither an introvert. Um, but I think when I started doing events, I built that
okay.
confidence because you're there in charge at a young age and you have to step in the leader role. So even within the group of friends who did it with me, we're another three in total, someone has to take a
Yeah.
role. But then what I learned is there are moments when I can lead, and there are moments in a group dynamic when I say, I don't need to lead here, I can follow. And in certain
Hmm.
instances, I know I need to step up because sometimes people need direction. And if no one takes
Yeah.
the lead, everything goes haywire. But,
Hmm.
and then sometimes you need to learn, you know what, actually, I don't need to lead here. And there's someone who can do a better job than me. And you support and you do this. But it's leadership and managing people. People say it's the hardest, true. But I think, again, doing with the right intent when you communicate, you get the basic manners, respect. If I have a cleaner in the office, in head office
Hmm.
for this company, I was CEO, and I do a town hall meeting and I update head office people, staff on certain updates. I used to tell her, the cleaner, to join us in the town hall meeting and listen, you know? And
Wow.
because, so you need to be inclusive. You need to show that you can adapt. So you can lead in the boardroom, you can lead. I'm not perfect, but I think the fact that I learned, and if I can tell my younger self at one point when I was successful in my events in a smaller scale, I was getting a bit too cocky and confident and a bit like,
Mm,
and I think it's important to learn to be humble as well. So it's good to talk and mention your successes, but it's good to be humble at the end of the day. So it's I don't know how to explain it, but it's a fine art to lead with confidence and strength, but to still have the respect and the
hmm.
humility. So it's walking a tightrope, a balance. Sometimes you need to show your muscle spot as well. So sometimes you need to know, you know what, this is wrong, this is fine, this is
Yeah.
not on, and you need to step on it because unfortunately people will try and challenge the leadership dynamics,
Hmm.
and that happens. It's human nature, but you need to be away from the group, but not too far away, not in the group, and not too detached. So getting that
Hmm.
balance is not always easy, but you need to be aware of it. So I think the biggest lesson in a way is awareness all the time, that you need to be aware. You need to have that helicopter view and be able to detach, see the bigger picture, but then, like a helicopter, be able to go up and down. So immerse yourself with your people
Hmm.
at their level, and in certain instances, move away, and to create that detachment, and be able to see the bigger picture, analyze, admit mistakes, and even, yeah, admit mistakes. Not the first time I did mistakes. Say, I'm sorry, you're right. I shouldn't
Hmm.
have tackled it that way.
So you've led this company of over
Yeah,
500 people through one of the most Malta's complex mergers,
yeah,
different companies, different owners, different
yeah.
people, different cultures. What did you see was like the most complex part of the complex thing in the merger itself? Like, and how did you handle that? Anything that went through the whole process?
So in mergers and acquisitions, so it's basically when companies sell or buy other companies, businesses, there's a lot of focus on the
Yeah.
on the financial transaction, on the accounting, on the
Hmm.
valuation, etc., which is important. And usually people are left aside as a byproduct of the outcome, you know?
And they're usually scared, I feel,
People are
in terms of
scared
like if there's
scared
a
of
merger.
change
Yeah,
with being acquired and fear of uncertainty. So
yeah,
uncertainty is the biggest. Startups and founders, the biggest issue they have is not risk, because risk, you know what you're gonna lose potentially, what's at stake, risk. Uncertainty, the unknown, is bigger than risk. So in mergers and
hmm,
acquisitions, people are key to handle them properly. So the most complex is people, the way you communicate it, how you communicate it, to retain the good people,
okay,
family members, children of the owners, if they're still in the business, because they before the company was their dads, for example, now it's not the dads anymore, but they're still in the business.
yeah,
So, and clients, customers, I think it's very complex, but planned properly with full
hmm,
communication and not leaving things till the end, it can be addressed. But it's a great process.
yeah. I've been in part of one of the merger, and I've always seen that the biggest problem, at least from my side, when I was looking at it from my perspective, was communication.
Yeah,
Oftentimes, we, heads of the departments, we didn't know what was going to happen or when what was going to happen.
yeah,
That is what I have seen as part of the whole equation, the most stressful thing, because we want to do certain things, but we don't know if we can or if we should do something. And then also the second thing is culture aspect. The one company that I was part of had a totally different culture when it comes to actioning things. And on the other side, there was a completely different system, different process, different ideology and mindset. So you must be probably seeing this a lot. Like, how do you merge them, and who gets to keep what stays in the end?
it depends on the companies, if it's a takeover, if it's a merger. So there's no one glove fits all.
Hmm.
But you're right, it's communication.
Yeah,
I think you need someone dedicated to manage the process. It's so important,
right.
and so one has to kind of peel off all the layers and see what would success look like, how are we going to stage it, what's the process, how are we going to communicate, what are about head people. In all fairness, sometimes owners and CEOs maybe can't disclose everything because sometimes they
Yeah.
don't even know everything, because there could be the shareholders who are driving it, and the CEO has to run it business as usual. But this is where a good CEO has to also fight for his team. Say, listen, true, it's confidential, it might not happen, but I need my key people to be on board, and I want to be able to drip feed them what we can drip feed them without any commitments, because
Hmm.
it's important that the business keeps on going strong. Because a transaction like this could take between 12 and 18 months. So imagine the potential damage you can do to the business if it's not communicated and managed well. So it's
Hmm.
key. But again, communication and having someone to tell you who's not. So as advisors, we would tell the owners and tell them, no, that's wrong. I'm sorry, you need to do this. It's key, because when you're in it, you don't see it, you know?
Cool. Okay, cool. I'm sure you have worked with a lot of startup founders and other startups. What are the most common pitfalls you see when you take up an advisory role in startups, or when you're coaching founders?
Sometimes it's this unrealistic budget
Expectations.
expectations.
Okay.
Good to happen, but sometimes even from a timeline point of view.
Yeah.
And people, and I did these mistakes as well. Sometimes the budget is realistic, but then you don't calculate that if you miss the budget in 1 month. So say you need to sell 100 units first month, and which it could be a
Hmm.
realistic figure. Second month, you're also selling 100 units. But if you fail on the first month, then to make up, suddenly second month, you need to sell 150 or 200. And that catches up with you. Um, Not enough cushion to be able to survive in a way. So you need a bit of income on the side to be able to, because you're not taking a salary, things like that. So when it's
Hmm.
underfunded, it could be very stressful, you know. Another thing is employing sometimes people with high salaries because you think they're gonna make it happen, and it's not the case. So
Yeah.
sometimes you can't burn your money wages there. Mistakes I've done as well, spending money which could have been invested in business development instead on a nice office or an office rental, you know, um, which is
Yeah.
also drains your money. So now it's with remote working, people are there's a different mindset and approach there. So yeah, there are mistakes, but again, I think we all do mistakes, we learn, and but having being realistic is key. And ideally, startups as well is scoping your business before you launch, trying to get the interest, sign up clients before, see, listen, because sometimes we're so immersed in our idea or concept. And for us, it's clear, but other people don't see it. So go out there, talk,
Yeah.
discuss. I get feedback. I call it free consultancy. And
Hmm.
I'd be scared. Look, I had some brilliant ideas in the past, and people tell you it's fantastic, it's brilliant. And now, in hindsight,
Yeah.
I wish people told me, no, I have reservations. What about this? What about that? We want to hear what we like to hear, and that
Right.
could mislead us. So don't go to people who's going to tell you yes and it's amazing and you're amazing supporters,
Okay.
you know. Try and get feedback for someone who's going to give you free consultancy and actually try and ditch it for you, you know, and rather than be put off by someone who you might say is negative, change it and say,
Hmm.
actually no, that person is not negative, let me see if I can answer his concerns.
I've been talking to my good old childhood friend. We were friends for 15 years now, and he gives a lot of critical feedback to me, and I'm not used to that. As you said, usually I have people who say yes and who are like, "Okay, this is great, go Manish, go," kind of crowd.
Which is
But
also
then
good.
he
It's
came
also
back.
important to have those supporters. Yeah.
Yeah, and then for the first time, I have this friend. I mean, we talk on a personal note, but the first time we started engaging on the business terms, he runs his own business, family business back in India. And then he started giving a lot of critical, unfiltered feedback. And I was like, this is cool because I don't get to hear this feedback. And probably I wouldn't take it well if it's from other people, but since this is my buddy, I'm more receptive to kind of seeing it for what he's saying rather than, any emotions involved. So, yeah.
And also, Manish, the monetization aspect. Some people have great ideas, have
Hmm.
business, and I go, okay, how are you going to make money?
Yeah.
How are you going to make money? What's the monetization? What's the added value for the other person? Why should this person come to you or do this or do that, if not do that? So you see, that's the
Hmm.
need. We need the need as well. What's the gap? What's the need? What is your USP? Um, and yeah, it's not easy, but again, it's not impossible, you know. What's your fall
Hmm.
plan? What's your plan B? What's your plan C? If it doesn't work in 18 months, 18 months, what can you do? If you have, you know, so
Yeah.
these are things that someone needs who's an external needs to look into. What can we do different? How can we do things better? What can we change? You know, keep at it.
Tell me more about the book, 40 Be the Change. What was the
Ah,
reason behind writing it?
yeah, that was again in my gap year before. So you see, I took a gap year, but I was still busy, but fun busy.
Hmm.
And you know, there was this cliche saying like life begins at 40, you know, and things like that. And so when
Okay.
I turned 40, I said, okay. what what
Hmm.
did I learn? If there could be like a number of lessons or things that I could
Okay.
write about. So it's a like a handbook, a book, and small things like even so some learnings, not rocket science, but even for example, one that comes to mind now is the art of firing people. When you let people go, you
Okay.
know,
Hmm.
people, leaders usually and managers are afraid of it and see it as a
Yeah.
negative thing. It's not an easy thing. But there's an art to it. So even in something difficult and awkward like that, I see it could be an art done with respect as a leader where you actually let people go. You have to let them go. But in certain cases, I think you have an obligation to give honest feedback as well because you care. And there's nothing nicer when you're letting people go and someone tells you, yes, I screwed up, or thank you for your feedback. This can really help me for the future to get to be a better version of myself. Not all
Hmm.
layoffs end up like this, obviously, because but if done with respect and with an honest conscience, and with no arrogance, I think we have an obligation as leaders to also do that. So there's an art to it. Plus, the world is small. You never know. These people, you might bump into them, meet them, and there's nothing like respect. So it's good to be tough
Yeah.
and strong, but it's also good to build respect out there because you can have as much money as you want and wealth.
Hmm.
I think what's the
Hmm.
nicest thing is when you build respect for who you are and what you are, and when you can, you help. So it's not the first time people come to and say, John, can you help me with this? Can I have a meeting, startup or whatever, something? I give them my feedback or this.
Hmm.
And for 1 hour, I'm not going to like bill someone, for a chat and a coffee. And obviously,
Yeah.
you're not going to do it every week, but it's good to give, network, and build that respect. But then on the other hand, it's good to be a bit focused as well. So again, learning from mistakes. I used to say yes to it, to a lot of things because I get driven by making things
Yeah.
happen. And
Hmm.
now I'm saying, you know what, actually, I need to drop a lot of other things on the side and focus and monetize as well because it's easy to talk and preach and come as a management guru, but obviously you have your own things to handle as well. So learning to say no is also a big
Hmm.
productivity tool, learning when to say no. And so it's good to help, good to build respect, add value to people, mentor, coach. But sometimes it's good to say, you know what, actually, I need to focus on this. And sorry, I can't. So if someone asks you to join a committee or in this,
Yeah.
I used to get excited by doing a lot of things. And then you realize you're spreading yourself thin. Um,
Right. Hmm.
so we grow and learn.
Yeah, that's an important thing for me too in my personal journey. In the beginning, I was a big time yes man. I took it all in, and yes, it served me well. In the beginning, I expanded my abilities, capabilities, and pushed the boundaries, and it was really amazing. But there was a time when I kind of like had to say like, okay, I need to
Yeah,
prioritize because it can lead to unhelpful behaviors that that is probably counterproductive.
yeah.
So it was one of my biggest learnings too. So what I'm curious about is like what is driving you at this stage right now in terms of like life and career.
At the moment, I have some more time to travel, work remotely. My stepchildren live
Hmm.
overseas, so it's nice to go travel, work remotely. They live in Bali, so quite a distance.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
So
Yeah.
so I think that balance of being able to work remotely, add value, travel, come back, that's beautiful.
Hmm.
So also being able to create. deep down, once you're an entrepreneur and you start and startups, I think you never stop. So even setting up
Yeah.
this advisory firm, we already have international partners, in either sector agnostic or country agnostic. So suddenly, really grew, and we have an amazing team. That's amazing. That's beautiful to work with like-minded people and people who can add value. So this is amazing. I like brands as well. When you create a brand from the ground up, even coming up
Yeah.
with a name, working with an agency, with a logo, because you have to be your own branding expert. You have to be your own doctor, your own architect sometimes. So you need to do the work. So I just didn't go to an agency and said, create this logo for me. I prepared a
Yeah.
brief of what I like, what I don't
Yeah.
like, how I see it, the preferred color schemes, and what is the business
Hmm.
going to do. So you need to feed your professional service provider.
Information.
So that process was amazing.
Hmm.
And creating the website, the service offering, building the team, and getting people on board. So yeah, I think that drives me. And when you think about it, when like everyone, when someone is from inception to whatever, and you look
Hmm.
back, it's beautiful. This creation of a business, tangible relationships, teams, clients, relationships, work, outputs. Yeah, that drives me big time, mate.
What I'm curious about is also happiness. I know the word happiness itself is a very overloaded word that means different things to different people, but what does happiness mean to you?
So happiness is an output of our thinking, and um,
Hmm.
and this is why in every situation you need to first focus on how am I processing this situation? How am I thinking about this situation? Um, And one correlation about happiness, I think, is being grateful. We don't do it enough as humans. Again, I'm not
Hmm.
judging, but sometimes we forget about breathing. We take it for granted. We're not grateful.
Yeah.
Yes, the grass is always greener. It's tough, but I use this sometimes, like even when I did the long swim.
Yeah.
If you look around you and you're going through a tough situation, physically, whatever, you can say, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to do this. Now, some things are ugly, yes, sickness, illness, whatever. If you have no money, this. I'm not saying I'm not this airy fairy, we've all been in challenging situations, but some people have
Yeah.
some challenging situations which are unfortunate, So it's easy to say happy and be grateful, but in general, I think if one focuses on clarity of thought, and I use this a lot,
Okay.
I think you can have more, not control, but you can contain your emotions better. Um, but
Mm.
yes, happiness is important, and if you want to help others, you have to be in a good place yourself initially. So, but it's constant works in progress. Um, and then having the right partner or friend, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, or business colleague or family or friends to keep you on the right track, because we all need a bit
Hmm.
of external nudges when we screw up and when we're out of line, someone who means well for us to keep us on track, in a good way. Say, hey,
Hmm.
I didn't expect this. So that is real relationships and friendships, that someone can keep you on track as well.
So clarity of thought combined with
Yeah,
relationships and basically how you think about
yeah,
situations
exactly. And
is what
yeah,
kind of.
and when I say relationships, community is key.
Mm.
Community will, so even if you're leading a company or forming a startup, create a community, create a community. And
Yeah.
that will get so much more out of people because they feel they're part of something. And you don't need to be all the same, but there's one common goal. So in my training group, we're all different
Yeah.
people, but there's one, we're like-minded people when it comes to the fitness area. But it's a community,
Hmm.
and it's nice to have a community which is different from work and gives you that kind of space. So you're not always work, work, work. Um, I work-life balance is not with a calculator, 60-40 or 50-50 on the day, it's just
Yeah.
having your priorities right. So if you need to work 100 hours this week, why not?
Yeah.
But if there's an important event and it's nothing related to work, but you should be there, then having the factual thinking to say, no, I'm going to stop and I have to be there, get my priorities right,
Yeah.
and balance out, work on that. So yeah, that's important. But I think community is a big thing, and I think it's been proven in longevity studies that community is a big part as well of why people live longer sometimes.
Yeah. I think I've seen it in Ikigai and the Japanese
Yeah.
philosophy, where there's this little town in Japan, and they all kind of live in a community, and they are one of the longest living people on the planet.
Yeah,
So.
and you build community unless you're respectful of others and you add value and you contribute, then you'll be form of a community. If you don't have the right things as an individual, no one wants to be with you and hang
Yeah.
around with you, and suddenly you can have everything in the world and fancy cars and this. So build on like-minded people, add value, give and take, and build community. So that's how we get engagement as well in marketing. You build a community
Hmm. Hmm.
for a brand, for a company, for a group. So yeah, I think it's a complex subject, this one, but yeah, we have the basis here.
Before we close off, what's next for you in terms of your advisory firm that is doing mergers and acquisitions, business transformation as well, and also personally, like, what are the plans?
My plans is to keep on, like now it's focusing. So I need to focus, I need to work on this project, the advisory firm, and add value. So that is definitely on the cards for more international partners, because in M&A, cross-border is very important as well. So that's key. Um, Create deal flow, close, there's that process. So that's keeping me nicely entertained in a good way,
Hmm.
because it's fun. You have to have fun as well. Um,
Yeah.
and the rest is travel, training. I'd like to do something, maybe again another exciting adventure maybe, but it will take months of training, but it's fine. So now
Hmm.
I'm flirting with the idea, and then when I'm ready that I want to do it, I will. My friends tease me that I talk a lot sometimes, but that's how I create accountability. So I always believe that you create positive accountability on you to deliver. So if I want to do this
Hmm.
something, so say imagine someone wants to run a marathon who's listening to us,
Hmm.
and he's toying with the idea, yes, no, whatever, and he backs out, he doesn't want to tell anyone. There are some people that won't tell anyone, they just go and do it, and it works fine for them. But then there are others who might be better off by creating accountability with the network, saying, I'm going to run a marathon. So that commitment out there, that public display, that public statement is going to make them show up every morning when they don't feel like to train, because they committed and they don't want to look bad by backing out. You see? So there are two
Hmm.
approaches. So when it's the right time and I feel I'm ready, I'll maybe, yeah, just to keep myself showing up. Not that I need it, but I train anyway. But just to push a
Yeah.
bit. Growth comes from moving outside our comfort zone. So
Right.
you need to make yourself redundant and always grow. So if you're good at something, you need to step out and do something else. And if I think we keep on challenging ourselves to get outside our comfort zone, we keep on learning. We need keep on growing as individuals. So there is no growth without struggle. So if you want to go to the gym, Manish, or if you want to grow your muscles, you
Yeah.
need to go to the gym, yeah, and work out.
Yeah.
And the brain is the same. The brain is a muscle. So struggle and challenges is an opportunity to grow. So what if I tell you when you have struggles and challenges now, rather than see it as a negative point of view, see it, you know what, this is an opportunity to grow. If I overcome this,
Hmm.
I'm going to be a stronger person mentally as well. Suddenly your
Yeah.
perception on struggle is different and you're processing it differently. And it's proven. So struggle is growth. Um, and you need to achieve growth. You need to believe as well that you can achieve it, but you need to do the work. So belief and action is growth. So the moment we start playing with these challenges and struggles as a positive opportunity to grow and shine, then even
Hmm.
your approach towards challenges is different. Your mental strength and the way you're positioning these challenges will align you for success more than if you see the problem as a problem. Because then if you see the problem as a big problem, we're going to create a problem from a problem. So I sometimes when sometimes you get those weeks and everything is being
Yeah.
challenging, rather than get like negative and down and self-doubt, what if you look at it and
Yeah.
say, bring it on, come on, I can take it, bring me more, throw it at me, I can
Hmm.
handle it, with a smile and strength. And then you approach it differently, bring it on,
Hmm.
let's do this.
Yeah, this is something like I have realized very recently. I've always optimized to win. Probably it comes from the culture and upbringing and things like that. And always win, always be the first one, always be aiming for that kind of. So what happened eventually, which I recently realized, is that I was not expecting issues. I was only expecting that things should always be good, that it should always be up. So, whenever a problem comes or an issue comes, it would really hit me hard. And I'm like, okay, so I looked back and I'm like, okay, so I need to reframe it in such a way that it is okay to have bad
Of
days.
course,
It is okay to have issues. It is okay to have like these ups and downs because it's part of the life and it's kind of like day and night. And once the moment I started reframing it that way and accept that it's part of the whole deal, then it's not an issue anymore.
completely. And here you are smiling about it, you see. And you mentioned another thing, expectations. And I was recently, I had an issue with something, and I was talking to a friend, and I said, I expected them to do this. And my friend looked at me and
Hmm.
said, John, I mean, you're 52. Are you still expecting things from others? And so,
Mm.
so the mistake is not their action. You felt worse off because you expected something and they didn't deliver
Yeah.
to your expectations. So the issue is your expectation here. You can't expect. So
Hmm.
it's true. And I was in it, I was annoyed. And this is where I tell you sometimes you need those people to, you know, pull your ear and say, hey,
Mm.
wake up. And assumptions, another thing I find people assume so much.
Mm.
And I would say assumptions is the mother of all F ups, the F word.
Hmm.
So you
Hmm.
can't assume
Yeah.
anything. And this is relates to communication. So I never assume. And people assume
Hmm.
this, assume that, assume they understood you, assume that I was clear, assume that I will be understood. So expectations and assumptions are what I call as well some unhelpful traits sometimes because they lead us to feel in a certain way. Then,
Yeah.
even in business, you can't assume anything. You can't assume that whatever anything, anything, you know. then you tend repeating sometimes, which is my team used to tell me, John, come on, you're why are you asking me? You know this. I said, guys, you know me. I mean well, but sometimes I don't want to assume there. So then you learn when we can assume with certain people and not. But yeah, in the bigger picture, I think assumptions, yeah, can create a bit of collateral damage sometimes.
John, I mean, thank you so much for joining. This was brilliant. We covered a lot of topics, especially strategy, mindset, leadership, and what it truly means to lead. And yeah, so thank you for jumping in and also like sharing your thoughts and experience. I really appreciate it.